Tens of thousands of Malaysian opposition supporters gathered at Selangor's Kelana Jaya Stadium in high spirits, cheering on the Pakatan Rakyat Alliance for one last time before going to the polls on May 5th. And they're likely to pack the stadium again, this time to cry foul at what they see as a rigged election outcome. Following Barisan Nasional's victory in the election, opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim called for a rally on May 8 to protest against the alleged electoral fraud. This, even though Najib Razak was swiftly sworn in as Prime Minister for a second term.
Kami ingin mengucapkan berbanyak-banyak terima kasih kepada rakyat Malaysia.
Mr. Najib's ruling coalition BN was returned to federal power after winning 60% of the parliamentary seats. It also reclaimed Kedah, a northern state on the peninsula which fell to Pakatan in the last election, but it failed to secure a two-thirds parliamentary majority and also lost the popular votes. Official figures from the Election Commission showed a record 85% of the registered voters turned up to vote. BN attained only 46.5% of the popular votes, while Pakatan won 49.9%. A separate tally by the opposition Democratic Action Party showed Pakatan to be leading with more than 50% of the votes, while BN trailed with 46%.
Very disappointing. How can you win 51.4% of the popular vote and still not get a majority of the seats?
This is the first time in Malaysia's history that a federal government is elected with a minority of the votes. This is possible because of Malaysia's first-past-the-post system and unequal-sized constituencies. While huge states with a large rural population like Sabah and Sarawak remain a stronghold for BN, the urbanized areas across Malaysia have shown a clear preference for Pakatan Rakyat, which has campaigned for honest governance and an end to race-based politics. While Mr. Anwar said Malaysians have been robbed of the legitimate rights to a clean election, Mr. Najib had challenged the opposition to furnish proof of fraud. Meanwhile, dozens of videos have been circulating online, some alleging blatant vote buying outside polling centres, some showing vast loads of so-called phantom voters arriving to cast their votes as local residents confronted them, rounding them up and in some rare cases, even beating them up. In other videos, local residents were seen joining hands to stop cars from entering counting centres with more ballot papers. Polls closed at 5 p.m. in most parts of Malaysia, so the delayed arrival of ballot papers at some counting centres raised doubts about their authenticity. There were also allegations of power disruptions in many counting centres, orchestrated to facilitate fraud. But Malaysia's energy firm Tenaga Nasional, as well as some polling agents, have spoken against the erroneous claim. Many Malaysians have turned to the net to express their disappointment. Some turned their Facebook profile pictures black and dressed in black, and many have signed a petition to the United Nations to plead for intervention. While international intervention is unlikely, Malaysia's election watchdog Bersih said it will set up a people's tribunal to look into the first-hand evidence gathered by citizens. It will also withhold its recognition of the government for now. Closer to Singapore, in the state of Johor, the traditional BN bastion was rocked by the opposition DAP for the first time. Party chief Lim Kit Siang, a former Straits Times journalist, won the parliamentary seat decisively against outgoing Menteri Besar Abdul Ghani Othman. DAP swept another 3 parliamentary and 13 state seats in Johor, driving its key rival MCA, the Chinese component party in the ruling coalition, into near oblivion. The MCA also said it will not take up any government post to take responsibility for its poor performance. As a result, Malaysia may have a new cabinet with no Chinese ministers at all for the first time. While Mr. Najib has blamed BN's weaker showing in this election on a Chinese tsunami, with Chinese voters switching their allegiance from MCA to DAP, many have countered his claim, calling it a simplistic and unfair assessment. Rather, some feel the fault lines between urban and rural voters, between the digital haves and have-nots, and between those who want change and those who prefer status quo are more evident. To read more analysis on the election outcome and its possible implications on the region, stay tuned to the Straits Times Asia Report.